Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a question that I think, haunts pretty much everyone, especially if you've ever tried to set a New Year's resolution or honestly just tried to get through a really tough Monday. Why do we assume that success requires suffering?
The whole grind mentality, isn't it?
Exactly, the grind. We have this deeply ingrained cultural script that says if you aren't gritting your teeth, if you aren't fighting your own urges every single step of the way, you're just not trying hard enough.
The whole no pain, no gain worldview.
Right. But we have a stack of research here on the table today that says this entire framework, this whole idea that willpower is a battle you have to win, is actually scientifically backward.
It is a provocative thought, but that is exactly what we are unpacking. We're diving deep into the work of Dr. David Destino, specifically his book, Emotional Success.
And his appearance on the Science of Success podcast, which was really insightful.
Oh, absolutely. And the headline here is going to sound, really counterintuitive to a lot of people. The tools we think we need, logic, reason, brute force, willpower, they're actually terrible at helping us reach long-term goals.
And then the tools we actually need are the ones we usually dismiss as soft. We're talking about emotions.
Right. I mean, we're taught to view emotions as the enemy of reason. Don't get emotional. Be logical.
Yeah.
But Destino's data suggests that specific emotions, specifically gratitude, compassion, and pride, are actually high-performance engines.
So they aren't just for greeting cards.
Not at all. They're for getting hard work done without the burnout.
So the mission for this deep dive is to basically debunk this willpower myth and hand you a different set of tools. But to do that, I think we have to start with the most famous experiment in the history of self-control.
The marshmallow test. You have to start there.
Yeah, Walter Mischel's experiment from the 60s. Most people know the setup, but just in case, you put a kid in a room with a marshmallow. You tell them, if you don't eat this for 15 minutes, I'll give you 2, and then just leave.
And the footage is it's hilarious and kind of heartbreaking. You see these kids covering their eyes, kicking the table, sniffing the marshmallow. It looks like pure agony.
But the narrative, the one that has been drilled into us for decades, is that the kids who sat there in agony and resisted, they were the ones who succeeded in life. They had better SAT scores, lower debt, better jobs. So the lesson was, success equals suppressing your urges. Success equals willpower.
That is the standard interpretation. And to be clear, Destino doesn't deny the correlation. Delayed gratification is a huge predictor of success.
If you can wait, you do better.
Right. The problem is that we assumed the mechanism for waiting was brute force willpower. We looked at the result weighting and just assumed the method was suffering.
But the data tells a really different story about willpower itself.
The data says willpower is incredibly fragile. Think of it like a battery on an old smartphone. It holds a charge for a little while, but if you run high-performance apps on it...
Like resisting a donut?
Exactly, or forcing yourself to study. It just drains rapidly. Destino points out that 25% of New Year's resolutions fail in the first 2 weeks.
That feels a little too real.
It gets worse. Statistically, 1 out of every 5 times an average person tries to resist a temptation, they fail. Now, if you bought a car and the brakes failed 20% of the time, you wouldn't drive that car. Yet we base our entire life strategy for success on this faulty mechanism.
And it's not just that it fails, right? Yeah, I mean, there's a biological cost to constantly saying no to yourself.
Precisely. Relying on constant cognitive control, that, white-knuckle grit, it increases stress levels. It spikes your cortisol. There's even evidence that people who rely solely on willpower actually age faster at a cellular level. It is biologically expensive to constantly fight your own brain.
So if we aren't supposed to just grit our teeth and bear it, what are we supposed to do? Because I can't just tell my brain, be successful and have it happen.
This is where we have to look at evolution. Destino makes this really fascinating point. Evolution didn't design us to save for retirement. It didn't design us to stick to a keto diet or study for the MCATs.
Right. A hunter-gatherer didn't exactly need a 401k.
Exactly. But evolution did design us to build social bonds. We survived because we cooperated. We survived because we helped others, even when it cost us energy in the moment, because we knew they'd help us later.
So we're hardwired to be good to other people.
Yes. And here's the twist. Destino argues that we can hack that same social machinery to be good to our future selves.
Okay, so this brings us to the triad. These 3 emotions that Destino says are the true drivers of success: gratitude, compassion, and pride.
These are what he calls the pro-social emotions.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Oh.
If I'm a high performer listening to this and you tell me the secret to my productivity is gratitude, I might roll my eyes a little.
It sounds fluffy.
It sounds very fluffy. It sounds like something you put on a vision board, not a business strategy.
I get that. But the difference is in the mechanics. You have to distinguish between a push mechanism and a pull mechanism.
Go break that down for me.
Willpower is a push mechanism. You want the donut, but you push yourself away from it. You want to buy the watch, but you push yourself to save. It's a conflict. You are literally fighting yourself.
And eventually, you just get tired of fighting.
Exactly. But these pro-social emotions, they act as a pull. They actually change how you value the future. When you feel these emotions, the hard choice, it doesn't feel hard anymore. It feels natural.
So Destino backs this up with a financial experiment, right? About discounting. Can
Right.
we walk through that? Because that really made it click for me.
Yeah, this is a classic study. So they offered people a choice. You can have $17 right now, or you can have $100 in a year.
Okay. Logically, you take the $100. It's a massive return on investment.
Logically, yes. But emotionally, we're wired for the present. We want the cash now. This is called temporal discounting. We devalue things that are far away in time. And people in a neutral mood, they usually took the $17.
They just couldn't wait.
Right. But then they took another group of people and primed them to feel gratitude. They had them recall a time they were grateful, or they set up a situation where they felt genuinely thankful.
And what happened to their investment strategy?
Those people were willing to wait. In fact, they required significantly more money, over $30, before they would cash out early.
Wait, so just feeling grateful made them better investors?
It made them more patient. And here's the key. They didn't report feeling like they were struggling. They didn't have to resist the $17. They simply valued the future $100 more highly. Gratitude didn't make them tougher. It made them value the long term.
That's the pull. You aren't forcing patience, you just are patient.
Exactly. It completely bypasses the struggle.
Okay, let's move to the second emotion in the triad, compassion. Now, I get gratitude making you patient, but compassion. How does being nice to others help me stick to a diet or finish a big project?
This is one of the most counterintuitive parts of Destino's work. We usually think of compassion as something we give to other people, but Destino argues that self-control is essentially compassion for your future self.
Oh, I like that. So when I study now, I'm being compassionate to future me who has to take the test.
Yes, but if you lack compassion, you treat future you like a total stranger. You stick them with the debt or the hangover or the extra work. You just don't care about their suffering.
There's a really vivid study mentioned in the sources about this, the hot sauce study.
This one is wild, and it really illustrates the biological difference between willpower and emotion.
Set the scene for us.
So it's a study on aggression. Participants were put in a situation where they were insulted by someone. Then they got a chance for revenge by making that person eat really spicy hot sauce.
Classic psychological torture. Love it.
Right. Now, one group was told to use cognitive control willpower to stay calm. They were told, don't let this get to you. Keep a straight face.
The old stiff upper lip approach.
Exactly. The other group had practiced meditation for a short period beforehand, which boosts feelings of compassion.
And the result.
The willpower group, they managed to not yell, but their physiology told a completely different story. Their blood pressure spiked. They were just boiling inside, and they used up a ton of mental energy suppressing that anger.
So they looked calm, but biologically they were a mess.
Correct. But the compassion group, the anger didn't even rise. They didn't have to suppress anything because they didn't really feel the aggression in the first place. Their blood pressure just stayed stable.
So it's like prevention versus a cure.
Exactly. If you use willpower, you're constantly putting out fires. If you cultivate compassion, you're preventing the spark. It's just a much more robust, low-stress path.
So compassion stops you from blowing up at your boss, which saves your career.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it reduces the discounting of future consequences. You care more about the long-term relationship than the short-term revenge.
All right, let's hit the third one. Pride. This one's tricky because we're raised to think pride is bad. Pride goeth before the fall and all that.
Yeah, doesn't pride make you arrogant and lazy?
Right.
We have to make a really important distinction here. Destino talks about hubristic pride versus authentic pride.
What's the difference?
Hubristic pride is arrogance. It's thinking you're great just because you exist. I'm the best. Look at me. That's the bad stuff.
Okay, so that's the bad kind.
But authentic pride is satisfaction in your effort or a specific skill. It's that feeling of, I worked really hard on this and I did a good job. It's based on competence.
And how does that help with success?
Well, the stats are incredible. When people feel authentic pride in their skills, they work 40% longer on difficult tasks than those who don't.
40% longer, just from feeling proud.
Yes. And again, look at the evolutionary context. If you had a skill that the tribe valued, say you were a great hunter, you gained social status. We are hardwired to enjoy working hard on things that bring us social credit.
So pride is basically your brain's way of saying, hey, keep going, people are going to love this.
Exactly. It makes the hard work feel rewarding instead of draining. It fuels your stamina.
I love that. So you have gratitude making us patient, compassion preventing burnout, and pride fueling our stamina.
That's a triad. And what connects all of them is that they're social emotions. They take us out of our isolated little bubbles.
Which brings us to a really interesting visual metaphor from the book.
Yeah.
The difference between being pointy and being a pyramid.
Right. This is kind of a critique of modern success culture. Society tells us to be pointy, have a spike in talent, be the best coder, the best violin player, whatever. Be specialized.
A whole 10,000 hours obsession.
That's it. But spikes are fragile. If you're just a spike and that one thing fails or the market changes, you crumble. You have no base.
So Destino argues for the pyramid model.
A pyramid has a massive base. And in this metaphor, that base is your social connections and your emotional resilience. The height of your achievement is supported by that base.
This has to connect to the loneliness epidemic, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. The stats are alarming. Something like 53% of Americans feel lonely in their work lives. And we know that loneliness is as bad for long-term health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
That is terrifying. We're literally working ourselves to death alone.
And it kills success. The myth of the self-made person is just that, a myth. Success relies on what Destino calls the reciprocity ring.
The reciprocity ring.
It's the network of people who catch you when you fall. If you're pointy and selfish, you might rise fast, but when you stumble, no one's there. If you build the pyramid using gratitude and compassion to build strong bonds, you have a safety net.
It reminds me of that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
Precisely. And in the modern world, we are obsessed with going fast, but we're burning out before we ever go far.
So this all sounds great in theory, but I want to get practical for the listener. How do we actually turn these emotions on? Is it just thinking happy thoughts?
No, and Destino's very specific about this. You need protocols. You can't just wait for the feeling to strike.
Okay, let's start with gratitude. I've heard of gratitude journaling, but he has a twist on it, right?
He does. The problem with standard gratitude journaling is habituation. If every day you write, I'm grateful for my family, my house, my health, your brain just stops registering it. It becomes noise.
It's like autopilot.
Exactly. Destino suggests you have to look for small, specific, daily instances. I'm grateful my coworker helped me fix that PDF. I'm grateful someone held the elevator for me.
Why the small stuff?
Because it forces you to scan your environment for benevolence. It literally retrains your brain to see that you're supported. And that is what triggers the emotional shift that improves patience.
Okay, scan for the small stuff. I like that. What about compassion?
Meditation. And I know everyone says meditate, but Destino backs this with data. Even small amounts, 10 minutes of mindfulness practice increases compassion.
And as we learned from the hot sauce study, that compassion stops the stress response before it even starts.
Right. It creates a buffer. It prevents you from discounting the future.
And finally, there was this concept in the notes about resume virtues versus eulogy virtues. This is from David Brooks, isn't it?
Yes, and Destino references this a lot. We spend our whole work life building resume virtues, skills, accolades, job titles. But eulogy virtues are what people say about you when you're gone. Were you kind? Were you fair? Do you help people?
And the irony is, focusing on the eulogy virtues actually helps the resume.
That's the grand unification theory here. We think we have to choose between being nice and being successful. But the science says that the eulogy virtues, those pro-social emotions, are what give you the grit to build the resume.
So if you're a jerk, you might win the sprint, but you will absolutely lose the marathon.
You'll lose the marathon, and you'll probably have high blood pressure while you're doing it.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for us?
I think it means we need to stop viewing success as a battle against our own nature. We are not robots designed for simple input-output. We're social animals. When we try to succeed by suppressing our humanity, by suppressing our emotions, we're fighting with one hand tied behind our back.
We're trying to use a battery that's just constantly running out of juice.
Exactly. But when we tap into gratitude, compassion, and authentic pride, we are plugging into the main grid. It's a sustainable, renewable energy source.
That's a powerful shift. Instead of white-knuckling it through the week, you can actually gratitude your way to better performance.
And you'll be happier doing it. That's the bonus.
I love that. It turns the whole grind culture completely on its head.
It really does. And I want to leave the listener with a final thought to chew on. We have this idiom, nice guys finish last.
Oh yeah, we hear it all the time.
But if emotions are the engine of grit, and if social bonds are the safety net of success, then that idiom is scientifically dead wrong. Maybe the nice guy is the only one with the stamina to finish the race at all.
The nice guy finishes.
Yeah.
Period. I think I'm gonna go hold the door for someone and feel really good about my productivity for the rest of the day.
As you should.
This has been a fascinating look into emotional success. And hey, if this deep dive sparked, I don't know, a little bit of gratitude or curiosity in you, please do us a huge favor. Like, share, and subscribe.
It really does help.
It helps us keep these conversations going, and honestly, it triggers our authentic pride, so you're actually helping us work harder for you.
It's the reciprocity ring in action.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, and stop gritting your teeth. Start counting your blessings. We'll see you in the next deep dive.